Earlier this year, we lost It's Tough to Be a Bug over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which, it really, a lot of people really didn't like the film, because of, it scared a lot of people. It scared kids and adults. But nonetheless, this was an attraction. It was an opening day attraction at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It opened with the park on April 22nd of 1998 and was based off of the movie A Bug's Life. Now, the thing about this was It's Tough to Be a Bug is actually a prequel to the movie. This attraction actually came out before the movie was released, so this It's Tough to Be a Bug was introduced us to two characters from the film. One was the protagonist, Flick. The other one was the antagonist, Hopper. So the film introduced us to those two characters, and this film, It's Tough to Be a Bug, really was, it taught you the importance of why bugs are important in our world. It was obviously scary and dark and loud, and it was a very 90s attraction. It was very edgy, very but it was part of that whole edutainment thing where it taught you that bugs are important to our world and how they make the world one honey of a place. And that was the whole idea of it. Was the purpose of the attraction. That was, really wasn't meant to scare you to death, but it was part of that edutainment philosophy, that so many attractions at Epcot were about, like Spaceship Earth, the history of communication and technology, and Test Track, building your own car, and Living with the Land, which taught you about real agriculture and how the plants are grown and cared for, and and then shipped to us. And so It's Tough to Be a Bug was really part of that whole edutainment thing of, yes, this is, a dark, scary attraction, but this is why, let us explain why bugs are important. And they're important, and they, say, that, without bugs, we would be, we would have so much waste, and we would have so much bad stuff in the world if it weren't for bugs. to keep it under control. Spiders are important because they control the fly population, and snakes, and so it's tough to be a bug. Really kind of explained all of that in an entertaining way. And then Hopper, of course, comes in and says, how to Flick, how dare you invite these humans, to the tree. They want to kill us, and then he tries to kill us, and then in the end, it's all, it cements that, it cements the whole, bugs are important philosophy, and how they make the world, better and one honey of a place. And, again, so when this attraction came out, it was really a prequel to the film. Now, doesn't really have anything to do with the film, but it introduced us to Flick and Hopper. Okay, so it's that's why we call it a prequel to the film, even though the 3D film doesn't have anything to do with the actual movie A Bug's Life, other than the fact that it introduced us to two of the main characters. So this attraction, had signs around it saying, this was a dark, scary attraction, and give us warning signs and everything. So it was not a lot of people's favorite attraction. The wait times for it were like hardly, it always had a posted wait time of 10 minutes. But it was pretty much, unless it was, during busy peak times of the year, of the seasons, it's tough to be a bug. Never had a line. It never had, it was not, it wasn't like popular, which I think that, the management kind of looked at It's Tough to Be a Bug and was like, that's not, that's not really drawing in crowds, and, we need to find something else to do. And with that tree. And, when the wait times for the attraction went down, the management was like, kind of sealed in the thought of, that's it. People do not want to learn on their vacations. So that tells us that we need to get rid of this show. We need to get rid of It's Tough to Be a Bug. All right. And they announced that there would be a new Zootopia show opening in the Tree of Life. And all of us, were like, okay, that's kind of stupid. That's kind of outrageous. And the original idea was to teach us about biomes. Okay, so you would have Nick and Judy and all the other characters teach us about biomes, and we were like, that really doesn't make any sense, because these are characters that don't live underground. They don't live underground. You know what lives underground? Bugs. Bugs live underground. So it makes a lot more sense to have. Now, getting rid of It's Tough to Be a Bug, I get why they got rid of it, but they could have done something, they could have done something different in the fact, but they, so before, It's Tough to Be a Bug, left, there were ideas to put, Zootopia in Animal Kingdom, that whole idea was always present, and there was going to be the original plans for Animal Kingdom was, they were always going to get rid of Dinoland USA. That was going to go away, and they were going to build a Zootopia land like Shanghai, and it would have, we would have gotten our own version of Zootopia. The Zootopia land. Dinosaur would have been reskinned to probably include Zootopia Hot Pursuit, and a lot of other, and then the land was also split, and we would have gotten Moana in that land. It would have been split between Zootopia and Moana, and then somewhere along the line, they got Joe Rohde to come back to do the Animal Kingdom overhaul, and he really felt that Zootopia really didn't belong in Animal Kingdom. He just really didn't feel that way, and and that's why, and we're pretty sure that's why they changed around the idea and getting rid of Zootopia and Moana and putting in the Tropical Americas, which honestly makes a lot more sense. Now we have Encanto. We're going to have an Encanto dark ride. We're getting a carousel. And Dinosaur is getting reskinned to Indiana Jones, which I really wasn't for that idea in the first place. And then they said that Indiana Jones is looking for a mythical creature, which I was like, okay, that actually makes sense. That makes sense in the scheme of Tropical Americas, and it makes sense in the overall scheme of Animal Kingdom, because Animal Kingdom was actually split into two different areas. One was, where, it was going to be live animals and the animals of today. And then the other half would have been animals that, either existed way before, humans, or mythical creatures. So that's why you had Expedition Everest, which has the Yeti. That's why you have Dinosaur, and so that was the reasoning behind that. And then when it came time to redo Animal Kingdom, they were originally going to put Zootopia in that plot of land, and then I'm sure that Joe Rohde had something to do with that, because he feels that Zootopia really doesn't belong in Animal Kingdom. I think it belongs in Animal Kingdom. It's the wrong way that they chose to do it. So they ended up not doing the Zootopia land, so they decided to say, well, we're going to get rid of It's Tough to Be a Bug anyway. Let's just put Zootopia, under the Tree of Life. And that was, I can see where they were coming from. Putting Zootopia in Animal Kingdom, that makes sense. The way they did it does not. It does not make sense. I have always said that Zootopia does not belong under the Tree of Life. It does not. Okay? Foxes and bears and rabbits, they do not live under the ground. They don't. Okay? So I was already skeptical of this project anyway. And then they basically said that, they're going to teach us about biomes, and I'm like, okay, now this is getting worse. How are you going to have a show that's underground that teaches us about biomes? That really has no idea, And we have one of those already at Epcot. We have Awesome Planet, which does teach us about biomes. So I was like, okay, so we're going to have 2 of those attractions. I don't know how I feel about that. And then they decided that that's not what they were going to do, and they were just going to do a Zootopia short. They came up with Zootopia, Better Zoogether, and they decided that this was going to have nothing to do with the edutainment aspect of it, and it was just going to be a Zootopia short film under the Tree of Life. So that's where they went with it, and I have now done the pass holder preview of the show, and now I want to give you my honest thoughts and my honest review of this show. So now let's find out in another of Michael's honest review as I review Zootopia, Better Zoogether. So they've changed the backstory of the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is now they have said that the Tree of Life is now in part of Zootopia, which it's not. They set this up with the queue. You go through the queue, and the first half of the queue is untouched. It's basically the same as it was with It's Tough to Be a Bug. You get into the second half of the queue after you pass under one of the trees, one of the limbs, and where the old posters for It's Tough to Be a Bug was. That's where they've put new posters up, explaining the backstory of this tree. So the backstory is that the animals have decided to live in harmony together, and so they built this tree as a symbol of unity. And look, that is not a great idea. That's not great. Look, the Tree of Life is it's a part of a bug's life. And we know the backstory of the Tree of Life because, the ants, they live under the Tree of Life, and they're the ones that built the tree and everything. And now they've completely have changed it where Nick and Judy and everybody else have built this tree as a symbol of unity. And no, I am sorry. That is not the case. That is not the case. And look, this is the animal kingdom. This is the animal kingdom, okay? What do you think happens with animals? Animals eat other animals. Okay? It's just the way it goes. It's the way it goes. I really hate that backstory. I hate it. The backstory is terrible. It is terrible. And on the exit of the attraction. They have decided, because I guess a couple of branches fell off a few years ago, and I guess the Disney lawyers now are afraid that, you know, they're going to get sued. So they're like, well, we have to do something to protect the guests. Otherwise, you know, we're going to get hit with a lawsuit. So they they built a huge giant structure over the exit, which absolutely kills the sightline. It kills it. So when you come out of the theater, you walk under this huge structure now, which, you know, it just blocks everything. And when you're on the other side of the park in Africa and you're looking at the Tree of Life, now you see that tall structure now, and it's like, well, that is terrible. That is terrible. That ruins the whole aesthetic of the tree. It's like, guys, I mean, seriously? I understand that, you don't want people to get hurt and everything, but you could have done a better job. You could have done a better job than just putting, nets and it just looks awful. It just looks terrible. It's terrible. But anyway, going back through the queue, right before you enter the holding area, there was a if you look to, I think the right side, I think it's the right side. You look to your right and you see a really no other, a huge thing of, no way to sugarcoat this. It's a ball of poop. It's a great big ball of poop. Okay. And when it was tough to be a bug, it was like, oh, that's funny because, it's a big ball of poop, and, but it really kind of ties it back to that whole, that's why bugs are important and everything. And with this, they decided to put paw prints on the giant ball of poop. What? Are you kidding? It is the most gross thing you have ever seen in your life. Now, look, the regular guest isn't going to know that, okay? They're not going to know that it's a giant ball of poop, okay? But to us, we know what it was, and we're looking at it like, huh? What? What? Why did you do that? That makes zero sense. That makes no sense. So it's just awful. It is terrible. All right. So the second half of the queue is it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It doesn't set up the fact of, it does not do a good job of setting up the film that you're going to see. All right. So we go under the theater, we grab our Carrot Vision glasses. These are very much like the Muppet Vision 3D glasses, or the opera glasses at Mickey's PhilharMagic. They're the same glasses. They just painted them orange. They painted them orange, and now it's called Carrot Vision 3D, which doesn't, it's like, why is it in Carrot Vision? Why is this in Carrot Vision 3D? Why are we watching a 3D film? They don't explain why this is in 3D. And it's like, with Muppet Vision 3D, they really kind of set this up as, they've developed this new technology, and, we're going to watch a demonstration of this new Muppet Vision technology and everything, and Muppet Vision 3D is really taking the aspects of a 3D film and turning it on its head, okay? Because it's really making fun of 3D films. It's really that, in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. It's really making fun of 3D films. And that's the gag of it. It's like, that's why it's funny, because they're basically making fun of 3D films, okay? And, this film is, nothing. I mean, but nonetheless, we grab our Carrot Vision 3D glasses. It looks like they've, I don't know if they've kind of, lightened up the room or not, but it looks like they've done some work in that holding area. I walked in and the doors look bright, and it was like, okay, this, they clearly did work on the outside, in the holding area. I mean, in the whole theater they did work, but in the holding area, they clearly did work, because it was, the doors looked nice and freshly painted and bright, and and then we go into the theater, and we find our seats, and then after everyone gets situated, the film starts, and there's an announcer that comes on and gives us the whole safety spiel. Now, why are we getting rid of cast members to do this, the spiel? Okay, why did we get rid of the cast members doing the spiel? Okay, another example that comes into mind is the Country Bear Musical Jamboree. Although that does a lot better job, because Buff, Melvin, and Max are, more, they interact more, and they're the ones that, go through the whole, no eating, drinking, smoking, flash photography in the theater and everything. So it works a lot better that way than in the film. The film starts and it just, the announcer goes and says, no flash pictures and photography and blah, blah, blah. You can take videos and everything, just no video lighting or anything. But why are we getting rid of cast members? Now obviously the cast members are still there. They're, still at the doors and everything, so we didn't really lose them, but they lost their ability to speak. They lost the ability to speak. So cast members, you can't talk anymore. Okay. Okay. I don't know why, but okay. So anyway, the announcer goes and says, if things get too wild, walk, do not stampede to the doors on the left, and, go ahead and put on your Carrot Vision 3D glasses. The film opens, and we, get a few locations from Zootopia, and the new character created just for this film, Heidi Howler, comes out, who's really kind of the MC of this show, comes out and says, we have, a responsibility to, take care of this world, and we have an ability to, kind of, just again, just kind of take care of the world and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. And then the last thing she says is, "And our communal existence to party," and then she pulls out a t-shirt cannon and goes, "T-shirts, t-shirts, t-shirts," and then this is where the air, where the shirts fly out at you and the air spurts, and it's like, oh, now we've just derailed. We have derailed. It's this film that I thought was going to go one way went a completely different way. Okay, and so then she calls upon one of the crowd members to come up and be the VIP, and she the camera, the drone points to Flash, and before he can do anything, Officer Clawhauser jumps into the scene and goes, "Oh, it's me!" And she's like, "No, no, 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 the sloth," and he obviously just comes up there anyway. And then the audio animatronic pops up. Now, the audio animatronic is spectacular. He looks great. It's clearly the same figure from Zootopia, Hot Pursuit. It's the same Clawhauser as it is in the queue of the attraction. He looks great. They fully built him. No screen eyes, no nothing. He looks great. He looks absolutely fantastic. So anyway, he starts the show, and he inadvertently sets off one of the confetti things and sends Heidi Howler, crashing into whatever, and then he has to kind of take over the show now, and then we go to our first location. So this is kind of like a live feed, if you will. So Clawhauser's looking at the screen. So he's looking at the screen, which is correct. He's looking at the screen, and stuff starts to go wrong. And then Nick and Judy come up on the scene, and then they turn and look at. They're supposed to be looking at Clawhauser. Why are they looking at Clawhauser? They can't see him. They can't see him. Clawhauser is the only one that can see Nick and Judy. So I don't what are they looking at? What are Nick and Judy looking at? I have no idea. So now they have to go through Zootopia to see if any of the other areas are in danger of the celebration being ruined. They go to another location, and I don't know all the locations of this, so I apologize, but they go to another location, and they run into Nibbles, a beaver. Says, "Have you seen anything?" And he pulls out one of his friends. One of the other seals pops up, and they go through this whole dialogue spiel, and then they start spitting, and then of course they spit at the screen, and this is the part where we all get wet, where Evel Knievel used to shoot us and get us wet. Now it's the beavers that get us wet with the spit. And turns out that they didn't see anything, and so they have to go on to the next location, which I do know is Little Rodentia. And they go to New they go to Little Rodentia to see if anything has gone wrong there. And this is the part where rodents in airplanes start flying through the air. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. That means they're going to lower from the ceiling these, little airplanes, with the rodents flying on them, and they're going to fly around, because that would take the place of the spiders that used to drop down. Nope. There's nothing that drops down anymore. Nope. They at one point though, they do have the mice in all of the confusion there. The mice are running around, and that's where they run under the seats. So at the end of It's Tough to Be a Bug, the bugs used to crawl under your seats and everything. Now it's taken over by the mice. The mice run under your seats. And then you cut to these sheep that are causing all of this mayhem, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh no, don't tell me that Bellwether is in this, because it's basically the same thing as Hot Pursuit. Pretty much it would be the same story as Hot Pursuit, where Bellwether is sabotaging this celebration and everything, and then they go to the concert, and they see Gazelle there, and Chief Bogo, and at one point Chief Bogo, they spot Chief Bogo. He's supposed to be undercover. That's what he says. He's actually enjoying the concert. They're like, what are you doing here? And he goes, I'm undercover, trying to not allude to the fact that he's there because he's a Gazelle fan. And he's like, what are you guys doing here? And Judy Hopps is like, we're saving Zoogether Day, Chief. And then they run off, and all other animals are kind of going underneath Chief Bogo, and Chief Bogo, and this is a great homage. Chief Bogo says, what in the wild animal kingdom? So, I really like that line. I really like that line because that was supposed to be the name of Animal Kingdom. It was not Disney's Animal Kingdom. It was supposed to be Disney's Wild Animal Kingdom. So I thought that was a great homage to that. I was like, that's nice. I like that. That's a nice homage. So anyway, then they go through, and they see a hippie kind of, I don't know what he's supposed to be, like some kind of gnu or something. I'm not sure. And that's where they spray in the smell and everything. And then things end up getting more wild and crazy. And Judy figures out that it's actually Bellwether that's sabotaging Zoogether Day. She goes to tell Clawhauser, but before she can say anything, the connection is lost, and Heidi Howler comes back out, and she's very, because obviously she got hurt from the what happened to her earlier, and Clawhauser goes, oh, Heidi, Zoogether Day is ruined, and Heidi goes, really? Yes, yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, that means that Heidi Howler is the bad guy. That's actually a neat twist. I wouldn't have thought about that. That's kind of a neat twist. And then Nick and Judy come back in, and Judy hits Heidi Howler, and Heidi's mask falls off, and she pulls down the costume and says, "Hello, Bellwether." And I'm like, okay, I was like, okay. You know, did we really have to have that same plot line again? Like, Zootopia Hot Pursuit, where Bellwether escapes from prison and sabotages that ride, and then this time she escapes from prison and is sabotaging Zoogether Day. So I'm like, okay, I don't, So anyway, Bellwether goes off on her whole rant, and one of the confetti things malfunctions again and hits Bellwether and causes her to fly through the screen. And then and then this is where another audio animatronic is. So her backside is stuck in the tree. So kind of think of it as Donald Duck at the end of Phil Our Magic, where he gets trapped in the tuba. The tuba spits him out, and he goes flying across the theater, and then goes to the back, and then he's stuck inside the wall. So think of it like that with Bellwether, except she's stuck in the tree, and and that's where the beetle that used to heckle the termite ator used to be. That's where that animatronic was, where when the termite ator shoots the beetle, and he kind of goes, falls backwards. So that's Bellwether took the place of that audio animatronic. And then they go into the whole grand finale. Gazelle lowers from the ceiling, and I like the fact that Nick goes, "Well, has she just been waiting up there this whole time?" Which is really kind of funny, because it's a statement on this whole attraction, which is just kind of ridiculous. It's just kind of nonsense, and he's just basically pointed that out. And then they go into the whole finale, and then the show ends, and then this is where they go into the original song. They go into the original song. What's it called? I'm blanking on it now. I can't think of the original song, but it's an original song that they wrote just for this attraction, and I really like the original song. They always nail the original song. They always do. With Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Special Spice, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Nothing Can Stop Us Now. This one, they always nail the original song. So the original song is fine. I have no problems with that. So anyway, the show ends, and then we get up and we exit. So I have a couple of things wrong with this attraction. I have story problems. There's that moment where Nick and Judy are supposed to be looking at Clawhauser, and they're not looking at anything. You didn't establish that, there's a two-way connection. So what are they looking at? I have no idea what they're looking at, okay? So I have no idea. They didn't really explain the fact that the animals, built the tree of life as a symbol of unity. They just didn't do any of that. It just feels like it is a Zootopia short. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with the edutainment value. It's nothing to do with whether the show belongs under the Tree of Life or not. It's just a 9-minute Zootopia short film. And I think that's really what the executives were like. Well, Zootopia is animal themed, so it fits into Animal Kingdom, and we'll just put it under the Tree of Life. It doesn't belong under the Tree of Life. I'm sorry. It does not. It does not. It's... So, the whole story is convoluted in that point. It's convoluted in that point where they never explain that they're in a tree. They never explain that, they're going outside of the tree. We're time traveling. They don't do any of that. And it hurts the attraction. It really hurts the attraction. Now, look, the movie is obviously money was spent on the movie. It looks fine. It looks great. It's just very... I've never had a love-hate relationship with this because the queue doesn't do anything to set up the story of the film, but the film is fine. The film is fine. So it's a totally different queue from a totally different film. So you walk through the queue and it's like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. And then you go under the Tree of Life and you watch the film and it's basically the same thing. It makes no sense. It's basically no sense. It's just there because, the executives were like, it's Zootopia that belongs. Let's put it under the Tree of Life. No one's gonna care. No one's gonna care. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you have to have it has to belong in the Tree of Life. It has to. Otherwise it's just, and it's the same thing with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It does not belong in the Chinese theater. Okay? The whole story of the attraction is, it falls apart because it doesn't belong in the Chinese theater. It starts off with, we're going to see a premiere, and now we're not going to go see a premiere. So it's the same thing with this. It is the same thing with this, and they don't do a good job of explaining why we are going to see this film. So the film is totally out of place. The film is totally out of place. And, it's tough to be a bug. It's tough to be a bug fit under the Tree of Life because, bugs live underground and they're teaching us, the importance of why bugs are important to our world. So this makes sense with the queue makes sense with the film, and they marriage correctly. Okay, the queue for Zootopia Better Zoogether is totally different from Zootopia Better Zoogether the film, and they don't mesh. They do not mesh. They are totally different. Okay, and it's the same thing with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Okay, it's the same exact thing where, they say that you're going to a movie premiere and you're going to the Chinese theater to watch a premiere, and then Now it's like, nope, you're not watching a premiere. Now you're stepping into the cartoon world. It's like, I don't want to step into the cartoon world. I'm at the Chinese theater to watch a premiere. Okay? So it's totally different. It's just the backstory does nothing with the overall theme of the attraction. And it's the same thing with Zootopia, Better, Zoogether. The queue does nothing to set up, why you're going under the Tree of Life, why we're going to see this film. It doesn't set it up that way. Now, look, vacationers, they're not going to think twice. They're going to go in, they're going to go see this film, and they're going to love it. It's going to kill 9 minutes out of their day. The kids are going to love it. Okay? So they're not going to think twice. They're going to think that was cute. That was great. Let's move on with our day. And us that are, hardcore theme park people that fight for the integrity of theming and stuff like that, we're just looking at it and we're scratching our heads. And we're like, nope, it is totally out of place. It is totally out of place. All right. Now, the overall story is fine. It's fine. Okay. You follow the story. There's really no overall story element problems. Okay. It's the queue. The queue is bad in that regard. It doesn't set up Zoogether Day. It doesn't set up the fact that you're going to see this film. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. All right. So it's, with It's Tough to Be a Bug, that queue, it really explained the acts that you were going to see in the film. You were going to see the Dung Brothers. You were going to see Weevil Knievel. You were going to see the Terminator. You were going to see Claire de Room. You were going to see all of these acts in the said show that you were going to see. Okay? This, the Zootopia Better Zoogether attraction doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. It explains nothing. It explains nothing. So you go in and you go see that film, it's nothing. It is nothing. So the queue is 0. So if I had to grade this attraction, the queue would be an F. It would be an F. It does nothing. Nothing. Okay? Now, the movie, I would say it is a I would say it's a C. It's a C minus, right? C plus if I'm being generous, okay? Because, again, the whole thing just feels out of place. It feels out of place, and it's just, they're just, they put Zootopia in where it doesn't belong. And I went off on that rant way before It's Tough to Be a Bug closed, and they said they were sticking Zootopia under the Tree of Life. I went off on that rant. I said this is going to be out of place. It's not going to belong. It's not going to make any sense. And I was absolutely right. Absolutely right. It doesn't make sense. It feels out of place. It doesn't belong. So, regular guests are going to have fun. They're going to enjoy it. It's going to be, it's a 9-minute break, from the outside, from the elements and everything, and they're going to enjoy it. Okay? But to us hardcore theme park fans that love these places, we're just sitting there, we're just like, no. I'm sorry. Nope. I don't like it. I really don't like it. It does nothing to, it it decimates what Animal Kingdom stands for. And what Animal Kingdom stands for is conservation and teaching you, what you can do to help, the outside world and all of the animals. And this Zootopia Better Zoogether show decimates that. It decimates it. There is nothing about it that's educational. There's just nothing about it that's fits the overall theme of Animal Kingdom. I think it could have gone into Hollywood Studios. It could have gone into the Magic Kingdom. It could have gone in either one of those parks, or it could have gone if Better Zoogether replaced Awesome Planet, would have been fine. Okay, but to put it in Animal Kingdom where it doesn't make sense, it's out of place. It feels forced. I'm sorry. It's not. I'm sorry. I've only had 2 love-hate relationships with an attraction. All right. Trying to make Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway fit into the Chinese theater was a mistake, and they obviously didn't learn it a second time because they fit Zootopia under the Tree of Life where it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong, and it's now the quality. Now here's so the queue, bad. Okay, and so is Runaway. Overall, though, Runaway Railway is not a great attraction from the queue to the ride anyway. So the whole thing is out of place. Okay, the whole thing is out of place. Now, I mean, Better Zoogether is out of place too because it really doesn't belong under the Tree of Life. It really does. It just doesn't. It doesn't belong. It does nothing to educate you about, places or anything like that. So it's, the movie is a C minus, C plus. Okay. The Q is an F. Okay. So it's really hard to rate this because, the queue is awful. The queue is terrible. The film is fine. The film is fine. Okay? It's okay. It is an okay film. It's gorgeous looking. The quality is there. They did a great job with it. Okay? And they fixed up the theater and everything. But the queue and what they did to the exit of that attraction is just, it's awful. It is awful. So, but let me know how you feel. If you've seen the show, I haven't put it up yet because it hasn't come out yet. And I don't want to get dinged for, because it does have an original song. So that's not out yet. So my video would be taken down from YouTube. So I can't put it up yet. I will in a couple of days when it reopens. This attraction officially opens November 7th. So on November 7th, I'll be able to put it on YouTube. I just can't do it right now because of the whole copyright thing. But, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's, the film is fine. It's just, the whole thing is just out of place. It is just out of place. I'm sorry. And I'm sure people are going to come in the comments. They're going to be like, well, okay. But it just doesn't belong. It does not belong. And I'm sorry. I am sorry. Okay, I really like the film, but it's just the overall thing, the overall theming to this just decimates the meaning behind Animal Kingdom. It just decimates it. So we are on a different track now of Animal Kingdom. And look, Epcot has gone through that, where it's no longer showing us the new technology that is to come. It's now just a mishmash of things that are not edutainment. Hollywood Studios, which was a theme park about peeking behind the curtain of you seeing how they made your favorite movies, how they made your favorite TV shows and everything. And now it's basically you're stepping into your favorite movie. And now Disney's Animal Kingdom has reached that crossroads where it's like, we're no longer teaching you about, we're no longer edutaining you. This is now just a park to exploit current IPs. So, I don't know. But let me know how you feel in the comments. But, I mean, I truly think now that Disney has just, they have totally ruined the whole Animal Kingdom aesthetic. It's just not, the park is, the original park is gone. It is gone. And once Dinosaur closes, that's it. That is it. There's going to be nothing more of that park. Okay? And it's the same thing with Hollywood Studios and Epcot, where, the movie-making theme park idea is dead. Nothing will remain of that, which is why I'm glad Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular still exists, because it's the one thing that's left, okay, of that movie-making idea theme park, okay? Epcot, the front of Epcot is fine, okay? It's still, except Guardians of the Galaxy and Figment, the front of that park is the rest of it's fine, because it still has that edutainment aspect of, the history of communication, the history, how we grow plants and how we care for them and everything. But Animal Kingdom, it's gone. It is, the theming behind Disney's Animal Kingdom is gone. And what's left now is just, well, this is animal themed, so it can fit now in Disney's Animal Kingdom. And we don't have to worry about the edutainment aspect of it anymore. But, let me know how you feel. But this just, this Zootopia thing has just sealed the coffin shut on what used to be Animal Kingdom. And now it's a totally different thing than what it once was. So, but let me know how you feel. But it's just the whole idea of Animal Kingdom, the whole theming behind it, it's gone. It is gone. Okay? That's it. Now, there's certain aspects to it. There's, the safari and, that which still kind of fits into the theming of Animal Kingdom, but all these parks now is just a mishmash of ideas, and what can we throw in that just fits into that land? It doesn't really fit into the whole theming of the theme park. Okay? So let me know how you feel, but they've ruined Epcot, they've ruined Hollywood Studios, now they've ruined Animal Kingdom. Okay? So those three parks, what they were are gone. They are gone. They are dead and buried, and what's left now is just a mishmash of things that really don't belong. That really don't belong. But let me know how you feel. I don't like the way that these are going, that it's going. I really don't like the way it's going. So, but let me know how you feel. Do you like the show? Do you not like the show? I'm interested to know. I'm interested to know. So, but if you like this honest review, if you like this video of me ranting and raving to you, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate it. I thank you guys very much for watching this video. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. And just remember that tomorrow is just a dream away. And we will see you real soon.